Attention viewers, this video will contain some profanity, otherwise known as swearing. Permission was asked for this fanfic reading as well. If you aren't interested in strong use of language, you may look away now. The Last Guest, Rewritten by Fast Boston Boy. Hey son, you nearly caught one this time. Yeah. Maybe one day you'll be just as good as your old man, eh? Yeah, I hope so. What's wrong, pal? I don't understand, Dad. Why are guests like us disappearing? I don't know, but it should be nothing to worry about. Then, why do I have to move to a new school? Don't worry, kiddo. I won't let anything happen to you. The school bell rang as guest 1337 stood in front of the school gate. He held his hands behind his back and trembled. School's about to start, sweetie. You don't want to be late on your first day, said his mother. But, mother, he said slowly, just look at me. I'm a guest. Nobody's going to like me. He watched as two boys, one with shaggy hair and another with spiky hair, turned in his direction with smirks on their faces. Guest immediately detected a sense of loath hanging in the air. Hey look, it's a stupid guest! Didn't think there were any left, said the one with the shaggy hair. Yeah, I know, the spiky-haired boy laughed. Emphasis on the stupid, bro. Guest glanced at his mother, who looked angrily at the boys, who turned around and started walking into the building. You see what I mean? He said. Kids these days, his mother said, then turning to Guest. But you should just ignore these people. Go ahead and be yourself. You'll make friends in no time. Guest looked down at his feet. I don't know. That sounds nice, but I think everyone's gonna treat me the same. Son, said his father, looking down at Guest, who in return turned to him. Remember what we told you. Be strong, little man. Yes, always be strong, said his mother. A beam settled in on Guest's face. He was pulled in for a cuddle by his parents. Have a good first day, son, said Guest's mother. Remember, we both love you. Thanks, father. I love you both too, said Guest as he let go and strolled into the building, facing his first day with new energy. Class dismissed, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Guest slowly rose up from his seat and grabbed his rucksack from beneath the desk. He walked along the lockers, watching as people turned in his directions and making whispers among themselves. Whoa! It's a guest! I thought they were all gone. Extinct? Is it just me? Or am I seeing one of the last guests in Roblox? Guest ignored all of the murmurs that spread across the corridors and made his way to the school exit. Mother! Father! He called in delight as he ran towards his parents to be bear-hugged by them. How's my big man's first day of school? Inquired his father. It was nice. I met so many new people today, Guest replied. Sounds good to hear. How would you like to go to the park as a treat for doing so well in your first day? Asked Guest's mother. Thanks, mother, Guest beamed. Whee! He squealed as he slid down the slide and landing on his back at the sandpit that stood in front of the slide. He ran towards the rope ladder and climbed onto the climbing frame. Mom, Dad, watch this! Guest called down below. Then he started dancing. His parents looked up as he pranced about. Our little boy, such a bundle of joy, Guest's mother said, whilst also tearing up. Yep, hey, that rhymes, his father grinned. Night time came before they knew it. His parents watched as the rain poured down while Guest was jumping up and down on a puddle, his face full of joy. Then, he suddenly stopped and gasped in shock. His parents heard the reloading of a pistol, and what stood behind them was a bacon soldier, his nose and mouth concealed by his mask, who pointed his gun at them, ready for the kill. Whoa! Exclaimed Guest's father. Look, you don't need to do this. What is it that you want from us? Questioned Guest's mother. Nothing personal, said the soldier. I'm just doing a favor for my people. A favor? His father scoffed. Guest looked down at the conversation he overheard, and his eyelids flew open. The only favor you're doing is killing innocent people just because you're different from us. Lies. I've been told my whole life that you pathetic guests wanted us removed from Roblox. I've been told that you thought we were thieves and murderers. Well, you're the one who's been fed lies. Bang. Guest's father dropped to the ground with a gaping hole in his chest. His wife stood in horror and knelt down. Wine-red blood spurted out of Guest's father's wound. His eyelids glued open. The bacon soldier aimed the gun at Guest's mother and pulled the trigger. Bang. She fell face first into the sand, with blood dripping out from her wound. Guest wanted to scream in terror, but he feared he would be next. So he hid behind the climbing frame and buried himself in his arms. He also wanted to whimper, but again, he feared his voice would be heard, and waited until he thought the soldier was gone. The bacon soldier glared down at the two bodies. Forget the kid, he muttered to himself as he walked away. He pulled out a speaker from his pocket. Colonel, that's 2 more guests down. Over, he said. Very good, General. Quickly report back to base and stay hidden. Copy that. He looked from the climbing frame to see if the soldier was still there, and sure enough, there was no one in sight, except the limp cadavers of his parents. The blood spread onto the sand, giving it a new color. Moments later, the flashing blue lights and the sound of the siren came. We've done everything we can, but unfortunately, we couldn't save them. I'm sorry, Guest. Dad? Guest said tearfully, holding his hand. Please, don't go. His father slowly turned to him and said weakly, Remember, son, be strong. Always be strong. And with that, he shut his eyes and lay back down with a faint smile on his lips. Guest watched as the cardiogram changed from a slow heart rate to nothing but a long beep. He fell to his knees and broke down in tears. Hello? You awake? Guest overheard a faint, soft voice as he slowly woke up from his slumber. He opened his eyelids, and a girl was standing next to him beside the bed. Hey, sorry if I woke you up, said the girl. It's alright, he said as he removed the blanket and sat up on his bed. Where am I? You're in an orphanage. Somebody found you unconscious in the streets and decided to take you in, she said. I'd say you're lucky to be alive. You could have been killed out there. I know. I felt so weak after, Guest mumbled. The girl trembled and held out her hand. I'm Daisy, by the way. Nice to meet you. He took Daisy's hand and shook it slowly. I'm Guest 1337, but you can call me Guest if you like. She looked down at the bed. Mind if I sit down? He scooted over to make room for Daisy as she sat down. I've heard what happened to your parents. I'm sorry for what happened to them, she said, her face full of concern. It's alright, and, said Guest, with a smile setting in on his face. Thanks. It's just, I can't believe you're one of the last guests in Roblox, said Daisy. I know. So, how long have you been here? Inquired Guest. Well, I'm new here too, she said. Oh, what happened to your parents? He asked, his face also full of concern. They died in a train accident, said Daisy sadly. Oh, I'm sorry, he said slowly. It's fine, said Daisy. I was thinking to cheer you up. We could be friends. Guest nodded. Yeah, I'd like that. Do you at least know your way around here? Yep. Let's go grab some breakfast. I'll show you around the house, then we can go to the park later, she said as she rose up from the bed. That'll be great. Gus smiled as he followed Daisy out of the room. Steady, and Gus narrowed his eyes and focused his aim on throwing the basketball into the hoop that hung in front of him. Come on! He jumped up and threw the ball forward, landing in the basketball hoop. Daisy! I did it! Gus turned around, but Daisy was not in sight. Daisy? He called out while carrying his basketball. Daisy, where are you? He strolled around the park looking for her, through the fireman's pole, underneath the slides, and so on, but she wasn't there either. Gus caught his eye on a small crowd. He dropped his basketball in shock. He saw 4 older boys tormenting Daisy by the swings. One of them, who had spiky hair, stood in front, pointed and laughed at Daisy while another one, who was the fattest of the rest, shoved her forward. The rest joined in on the laughing. Daisy was hiding her face in hands, sobbing. My, what a weakling! Gloated the fat boy. Please, leave me alone! Daisy cried through tears. You need to be taught a lesson, little one, said the spiky-haired boy. He lifted his foot up and kicked Daisy on her stomach, causing her to fall into the grass, clutching her stomach. Gus trembled and clenched his fists. Oh, I'm sorry, the bully said mockingly. Looks like my leg must have accidentally slipped. Gus ran over to the crowd. Hey, leave her alone, he said defensively. The 4 bullies turned in his direction. Well, look what a little rat showed up, the spiky voice said. He walked up to Gus and towered over him. Daisy looked up, the tears still trickling down her face and facing the brawl. Gus, no, Daisy whimpered. Well then, come on, he said. You want to fight? Retorted Gus, holding his fists up. Then have it, tough guy. Gus thrust his fist onto the boy's left cheek. Instead of flinching like Gus expected, the bully held it in. I'm screwed, Gus muttered to himself. Ha! That was pathetic, snorted the boy, who threw his fist into Gus's right eye. Gus shut his eyes, then fell back down onto the ground. He opened both eyes and looked up. His vision was impaired on his injured eye, but he can see the bully looking down with a smirk on his face. Pfft! You weak, pathetic guest, he sneered. No wonder your species died out. You dare to insult my race again, Gus snapped. And now he was cut off by another boy wearing a red shirt, jumped at the bully, causing them both to also plummet to the ground. The boy with the red shirt regained his fighting stance. I've just had enough of your shit. Now, why don't you go pick on somebody your own size and leave these guys alone? The bully stood up. Forget it, gang, he said to his group. These losers ain't worth our time now. Gus sat up and caught his eye on the group of bullies walking away. Then to Daisy, struggling to rise up from the floor. He got up onto his feet and held his hand out. Daisy panted and took Gus's hand. Thanks for helping me. Gus helped Daisy onto her legs. Not a problem. That's what friends do, right? Daisy's face turned into one full of concern as he stroked Gus's right eye, which had by now turned rather purple. I live, he said. The other boy turned to Gus and Daisy. Hey, sorry about them. They're just a nasty bunch of guys. It's alright, said Gus. My name's Matt, by the way, he said while shaking Gus's hand. A pleasure to meet you. I'm, called Guest, said Gus. And I'm Daisy, she said while shaking Matt's hand. Thanks for helping us out. Gus gazed from Daisy, then Matt, then at the bright sunlight, a broad grin growing on his face. For the first time in his life, Gus felt hope for the future. The rain slowly started to settle in onto the city. And then that's when my mother... Matt was cut off by the rain. Oh great, We better get going home. Yeah, agreed. It's getting a bit late now, said Guest, while looking at the moon that shone. The three stood up and went onto the pavement, on their way to the orphanage. Oh my god, I'm so wet and cold, said Daisy. Have you guys got anything to do tonight? Inquired Matt. I got some cool games we can play when we get back, answered Guest. Oh hell yeah, said Matt. I'll make sure to smash you both. Ha! Not a chance, Matt, joked Daisy. Then Guest gave himself a head start and started dashing down the sidewalk. Last one home's a rotten egg, Guest called. Hey, that's not fair, Matt called back and started to run as well. Oh, you are so on, said Daisy, as she also started to run down the path. Little did they know that a bacon soldier was watching them. Ah, that's better, panted Guest as he opened the door into the house. I won that one. Yeah, well, you had a head start, snorted Daisy as she came in next. Well, looks like I'm the rotten egg, Matt joked as he followed and shut the door behind him. Anyway, let's just dry ourselves up after that awful rain. Then I'll power up the game console, said Guest as he traveled up the stairs. I don't know about you lots, but I feel like some Mario Kart tonight. Oh, I'm so going to dominate you both, said Matt. Not if I win first, said Daisy as she followed up the stairs. Come on, grunted Guest. That shell may have weakened me, but I can still win this, said Matt. No way, I'm going to win this one, laughed Daisy. Are you sure about that, Daisy? Said Guest. Because I am the champion! He jumped up and down as his character crossed the finish line in first place. What? Oh, god damn it! Groaned Matt as he buried his face in the ground. Aw, so close! Daisy sighed. Guest laughed and fell back onto the carpet. Matt ran back into the bedroom and caught Daisy napping on Guest's shoulder. Hey, guys, you need to hide, quickly, Matt said with a horrified look on his face. Guest and Daisy woke up and turned to Matt. What's going on, Matt? Daisy questioned as she rose up from the carpet. It's the bacon soldiers, Matt panted while still catching his breath. They're here, said Guest. We really need to hide, now. Guest, started Matt. I think they're after you. What? Daisy gasped. Why him? Daisy, I'm a guest. The bacon soldiers hate my race, said Guest. They're the ones who killed my parents. Matt, is there anywhere where we can hide? How about in there? Matt pointed at the closet that sat next to the door. I think that'll do, said Guest as he opened the door. It can fit all of us in. Quickly, before they come here. Daisy and Matt climbed into the closet. Guest followed and shut the door. Okay, now what? Matt whispered. We wait, replied Guest. Wait until the bacon soldiers leave. Daisy whimpered and fried and called Guest. Shh, it's okay, whispered Guest. Just keep quiet, and the bacon soldiers won't find us. They heard rather faint footsteps creaking on the staircase, progressively getting louder. Here they come, whispered Matt. Don't make a sound. The sound of the creaking door opening came, and they heard the sound of the reloading of a pistol. Daisy wanted to whimper, but Guest kept her mouth shut by covering hers with his free palm. The footsteps became louder and louder as someone entered the room. Then the footsteps became more faint. He must have headed for the other closet, Guest thought to himself. The noises were becoming more faint and faint. Then Guest heard a door being opened. Nobody in here, said the bacon soldier, who took off his mask. It seems I was wrong. Then blue lights were flickering through the windows, and the sound of police siren echoed. What? Muttered the bacon soldier. Ugh, fuck! It's the police! Then more pounding footsteps echoed, then became more faint as the soldier ran down the staircase. I think he's gone now, whispered Matt. This is the Roblox police! We have the building surrounded. Come out with your hands in the air. They heard the police outside. Then, even more footsteps were crawling up the staircase. And then they entered the room. That soldier must have searched that closet. David, search this one. The closet door suddenly opened, and what stood in front of Guest, Daisy, and Matt were 3 soldiers, holding their Roblox police badges. I found some survivors, one of them said through the speaker. General, I'll bring them out to you. Guest watched as the bacon soldier was tightly handcuffed by a group of policemen beside him. You have no idea who you're messing with, hissed the soldier. Those pathetic guests ruined us. Yeah, tell that to the judge, snapped one of the police officers as he pushed the soldier into the police car. You kids are very lucky to be alive, said the general, then turning to Guest. Especially you, Guest. The bacon soldiers seriously don't like your people. Yeah, said Guest. They killed my parents. You know, Guest, said the general, we could really use your help one day when you're old enough to join. He turned to Daisy, who was still in tears, and pulled her in for a hug. 10 years later, Guest 1337. Do you take Daisy to be your lawfully wedded wife? Do you promise to be true to her in good times and in bad, in sickness and in health? Will you love her and honor her all the days of your life, till death do you both part? I do. And Daisy, do you take Guest 1337 to be your lawfully wedded husband? Do you promise to be true to him in good times and in bad, in sickness and in health? Will you love him and honor him all the days of your life, till death do you both part? I do. Then, with the power vested in me, I pronounce this couple husband and wife, in the name of Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Guest, you may kiss the bride. Guest took the veil up from Daisy, but before he could do anything else, she jumped up, wrapped her arms around Guest, and pressed her lips onto his. The entire crowd erupted with applause, while Matt also wiped off the tears of joy from his eyes. I can't think of anything more humble than such an amazing bond and friends with these 2 people. It's been an absolute pleasure being friends with them from the start. I'd like to say that I'm very honored to be Guest's best man on this very special day. Matt finished off his speech. Alright then, you 3, give me your biggest smiles, said the cameraman as he prepared the camera. Daisy, Matt, and Guest gazed into the camera and gave their biggest smiles. Flash. And perfect. Amazing job. Now let's get going to the reception. Come on, give it one more push, you're almost there. No, Daisy, that's quite a grip. You're about to crush my hand. And I won't be able to hold the baby when it comes out. Ah! Guest shut his eyes and clenched his teeth, but he suddenly opened them again when he heard the sound of a newborn screaming. Congratulations, it's a girl! Exclaimed the doctor as he wrapped the newborn in a towel and handing her to Daisy. Guest, look what we made! Gasped Daisy happily with tears of joy in her eyes. She looks just like you, Guest smiles. Except she's got my eyes. Daisy cuddled the baby. Yes, I know. It's been a tough day for Mommy too. Soon, the newborn stopped crying, and Guest took her into his arms. So, what name have you come up with for this little bundle of joy? Guest inquired. I've been thinking, said Daisy. How does Charlotte sound? Charlotte, said Guest thoughtfully. What a beautiful name for our beautiful daughter. Charlotte it is then. She looked up at Guest and playfully pinched his nose. Oh, you got my nose! He grinned. Little Charlie, this is your mommy, and I'm your daddy, and we love you very much. The door opened, and Matt entered. So where's that little bundle of joy? Is it a boy or girl? What'd you name it? Matt was excitedly asking several questions all at once. Whoa, take it easy. The baby's here. It's a girl, and we named her Charlotte, answered Guest, revealing the baby who was still in his arms. Matt started to hyperventilate, clutched his chest, and then thud. Well, I'll take that as a so freaking cute, seeing that he just fainted. Poor fella. Guest chuckled. I think Matt will love it if we choose him to be his godfather, wouldn't you say? Yeah, Matt definitely would, Daisy responded. Guest returned to the chair sitting next to Daisy's bed, sat down, and gazed at the little girl cradled in his arms. A few years later. Ready? And yeah! Guest gave a light push on the suite, and up Charlotte goes. Push, Daddy, push! She cheered while holding tightly onto the swings. Okay then, yeah! Another push came, and higher up she goes. Whee! Charlotte squealed in delight. Mommy, look! Daisy looked up from her book and grinned. Such a cutie, Guest said to himself, after giving Charlotte yet another push. Next channel. This is boring. Next. My god, there's nothing interesting to watch tonight, sighed Guest. I know, Daisy replied while stroking Charlotte, who was sleeping on her lap. Guest switched to the next channel, and in came a news report. And now, on to the news at this hour. There's a panic in Roblox tonight as the Bacon Soldier terrorists have gone on a mass killing earlier today. Builderman has issued a warning to stay indoors and remain vigilant. The terrorist group has doubled in numbers over the last 10 years, and the authorities have struggled to remain in control. Tragically, another family of guests were victims of the massacre. It has been believed that only one last guest remains in Roblox. Guest took out a picture from his pocket, showing his young self with his parents at the park. He turned to Daisy, who had fallen asleep. There must be a way to put an end to this, said Guest. He got up and carried the asleep Charlotte to her small bedroom, and laid the duvet over her. Guest bent down and slowly kissed her forehead. Sleep tight, my little angel. He looked down at his watch, 1943. He headed back into the lounge and laid Daisy down on the couch, with her head rested on a cushion, and pulled the duvet over her body. Guest kissed her, got up, and headed up the flight of stairs into his bedroom. Guest, help me! His eyes flew open at Daisy's desperate scream, and found himself on a chair, but his wrists were restrained. In front of him stood a massive group of Bacon Soldiers, two of which held Daisy's and another pointing a pistol at her head. What are you doing? Guest gasped. Leave her alone! It's me you want! Oh, we're not here to kill you, said the Bacon Soldier holding the gun. He struggled to break free from the chair. Do not touch her, or I swear I'll fucking kill you, he hissed. Oh, what you gonna do? Another soldier sneered. You're stuck on that chair. You can't do shit. Anyway, we brought a little surprise for you, said another soldier, holding a little girl asleep in his arms. No! Charlotte! He exclaimed. You see, I'll give you a choice. We'll set you free and not kill any more guests, and in exchange, we either take your daughter's life, said yet another soldier, while holding a pistol from his pocket, or your wife's. Neither, Guest spat. You have to take mine instead. Bzzzt. Wrong answer. The soldier pointing the gun at Daisy sneered. Seeing that you chose neither, I'll make the choice myself. He pressed the gun onto Daisy's neck and pulled the trigger. Bang. No! He could only watch as Daisy crumpled onto the floor with the gaping hole where the gun was fired at. His heart froze, and tears flew out of his eyes. Guest shot his eyes open and gasped heavily. He sat up on his bed and placed a palm on his forehead. It was just a nightmare, Guest thought to himself. He noticed that on his right lay Daisy fast asleep, with her slippers on, and headed downstairs into the dining room, while glancing at the clock that hung in front of him. 3:25. He opened the fridge to pull out a jug of ice-cold water and poured it into an empty glass. Then, Guest heard footsteps coming from the stairway. He turned around only to notice it was Daisy. Guest, what are you doing down there? Do you know what time this is? she questioned sleepily. I had a nightmare. Really awful, Guest replied while putting the jug back into the fridge. The bacon soldiers captured all of us. Us? She inquired. You, me, and Charlotte too. The soldiers said they exchanged my freedom and that they wouldn't cause any more harm to guests if they killed you or Charlotte, he said. Oh God, Daisy gasped. So what did happen? I said neither, but one of the soldiers shot you. That was when I woke up, said Guest. Daisy walked up to Guest and pulled him in for a cuddle. Hey, it's alright. The bacon soldiers aren't here to harm us now. I know, he said, hugging Daisy back. I just don't want this to happen to you. She stroked Guest's hair, then broke apart from it. How about we just go back to bed, honey? Let me just drink this, then I'll be up in a minute, he replied. Daisy nodded, then headed up the staircase. 2049. That same day. The tavern was rather empty tonight. Most likely those who often came here were probably advised to stay indoors. The bartender came over to where Guest was sitting. Ah, Guest. Usual, I presume? No thanks, I'm just gonna go with Coca-Cola tonight, he replied. Matt's gonna come over as well, so make that 2. Sure thing, the bartender said as he shifted towards the refrigerator. The door opened behind him and in came Matt. Hey, Guest, he smiled. Matt, so glad you could make it, Guest replied as Matt took the seat on his right. You alright, mate? Inquired Matt. It looks like something's been eating you up. Well, it's just that I had a bad dream while I was asleep, Guest responded. He explained the entire story to Matt, while the bartender came back to where the two were sitting, with 2 cans of Coca-Cola. Oh man, was I involved in this dream of yours? Matt asked. Well, no, said Guest, before turning to the bartender. Thanks. Anytime, just call me if you two need anything, okay? Said the bartender before turning away. Huh, it seems you've been watching the news a bit too much lately. This might have been the 3rd time this month you've told me about a horrible dream you had while in your sleep, said Matt with concern. I know, it's just, Guest sighed. It's just that the terrorists are just gonna keep coming and coming. I don't want my family to live in a world where they're always in danger, under threat. What can you do to stop it? Questioned Matt. If there's only one thing I can do, said Guest, turning to the I want you in the army poster hanging in front of him. I'm going to join the Roblox army, Matt. What? Spluttered Matt. You must be freaking mad too. And nothing's going to stop me, he said. There was a moment of silence before Matt turned to Guest. If you're going, then I'm coming with you. Guest smiled. He was very happy to have a friend who'd always be there for him. Daisy? Charlotte? Guest called from the dining room. I need to talk to you two. The two cascaded down the staircase and caught Guest sitting by the dining table. Now, before I tell you what I want to say, I just want to let you know that I love you both, and I will do anything to keep you safe, he said after Daisy and Charlotte took their seats. Daddy, what's happening? The little girl asked. Guest hesitated, bit his lip, then finally said it. I'm going to join the army to stop bacon soldiers from doing any harm to you. Daisy gasped. You're joking, right? Please tell me this is a joke. I'm afraid it's not a joke, said Guest. I'll be leaving the house in about a month. But, Guest, you don't have to do this. You can't do this, said Daisy as tears began to trickle from her eyes. Daisy, remember when I told you how my parents died? Guest inquired, and what followed was a brief moment of silence. I don't want you to end up in that sticky end. Same for Charlotte. Daddy, what is the army? Asked Charlotte eagerly. An army is, well, organized groups of people who fight, he said. Charlotte immediately trembling at the word fight. But Guest, you could die if you joined the army. I don't want that to happen to you. Daisy's voice started to break down. and I don't want you to suffer the same fate as my parents, Guest replied calmly. Ever since they were killed, I swore that I would avenge them, personally make the perpetrators pay the price. If I am to die, I would want to make sure that I died helping to make differences to Roblox. There was a moment of awkward silence, apart from Daisy's rather quiet sniffing as she slowly began to tear up. Does this mean Daddy's going to have to move away? Charlotte questioned. Yes, honey, Guest said to Charlotte. I'm afraid that Daddy has to move away. It's only for a while, don't worry. I'll be fine. Charlotte got up from her seat and dashed out from the dining room, her face covered by her hands, and sobbing. Charlie, wait! Guest trailed off before turning to Daisy. I'm so sorry, Daisy, but I don't want the bacon soldiers to hurt you. Joining the army is the least I could do. All too soon, Daisy covered her face with her palms and broke down into tears. Guest's heart sank instantaneously. He extended his arms out and pulled Daisy into his arms. Her face was buried deep in his chest as she kept sobbing. Maybe this isn't such a good idea. Daddy, please, don't go. I'm so sorry, honey, but I gotta do this. I'm doing it for you and your mommy. Guest held his daughter in his arms very tightly, and the tears trickling down his cheeks. He slowly let go of Charlotte. It'll be fine. Now how about you give your godfather a little hug? She nodded and turned to Matt, while Guest turned to Daisy, whose face was far more redder than before. Daisy, everything's going to be fine, Guest said serenely. She sniffed. You say that all the time, but do you realize where you're dragging yourself into? It's a war. I know, honey. He cut Daisy off. If I am to die, at least the whole world will know I helped to make a difference. Simply saying the word die made Daisy break down in tears. And Guest's heart sank as he pulled Daisy in for a cuddle. She hugged back very tightly, as if she was hanging on to him for dear life. I'll promise I'll write you at least twice a week, said Guest. Daisy said nothing and let go of the embrace. Just be careful out there, okay? Guest nodded. Then he was suddenly dragged in for a passionate kiss. Matt sighed. I hate goodbyes, he mumbled to himself. Matt, we must get going. The captain's expecting us at the military base in an hour, said the driver. We'll be there in a moment, said Matt. Let them take your time. Daisy let go of Guest and gazed into his eyes. I love you. I love you too, honey, said Guest. Now just smile for me. Daisy gave Guest her biggest and brightest smile ever. There. That's how I want to remember you when I'm out there, kicking some ass, said Guest. He stepped away for Matt to give Daisy a hug, then headed for the military van. Shortly after he let go of Daisy, Matt followed. Before entering, Guest took one last look at the house, then to his family. Bye, everyone, he said to himself before shutting the door and setting off for the military camp. Arriving at the camp, Guest watched from the window as scores of men were seen doing jogging drills, press-ups, assault courses, and rifle shooting. Whoa, man! These men must be training hard, said Matt. Yeah, no kidding. The van came to a halt in front of a large tent, where a large number of bunk beds lay, and several other men inside. Now I do believe this is where you two will be staying until the captain comes, said the driver. The two pulled up their rucksacks and hopped off the van. Guest entered the tent first and found an unoccupied bunk to his right. He placed the sack onto the bed and was interrupted by a familiar yet unpleasant voice. Well, 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 if it isn't the rat from the orphanage! He turned around to see his two childhood bullies, still possessing their cold smirks on their visage. Oh God, not you two again, he said to himself. What the hell is a guest like you doing in the army? Said the spiky-haired bully, shoving Guest towards the bed. However, he held his balance and was only lightly pushed backwards. Forget it. You're not worth my time. Guest muttered before walking away. The entire crowd behind Guest was watching as he moved away from the bullies. Yeah, that's right, you better run away, you weak, pathetic Guest, said the other bully. He froze and turned around. Weak? Pathetic, you say? Guest said to the bullies. Suddenly, dashing up to them, he jumped up and wildly swooped his leg at them, instantly knocking them backwards onto the floor. He walked up to the two and gave a cold look down onto their faces. How's that for weak and pathetic, huh? They said nothing, but the crowd behind Guest immediately started murmuring to each other. Holy cow, that was awesome! That was a cool roundhouse, wouldn't you say? Hey, did someone teach him karate or something? Hey, said Matt, who patted Guest's shoulder. That was an awesome one. Hopefully that chops them up for a while, said Guest. Suddenly, a muscular man showed up at the tent entrance. Soon enough, everyone formed two lines, stood up straight and their hands behind their backs. The man looked down at the two bullies. What are you two doing down there? We slipped over, sir, said one of the bullies while still in shock. Pathetic! The floors are not slippery! Get up, you two! Said the man. The bullies immediately rose from the ground and joined the lines. We are here today for one purpose only, he boldly spoke up. That is to destroy every last bacon soldier alive. You will all be sent out to the front lines, so train hard or die. Am I clear? Sir, yes, sir, everyone boldly responded. Very good, troops. Now, it's time for a roll call. Answer me when I say your name. Ever since the incident on the first day occurred, the two bullies decided it was best to stay away from Guest, to try to avoid another foot to their ass. 2 months later, the entire army marched through the empty field. The grass was dry and it was hot. Soon, the tank stopped a couple hundred meters away from the bacon camp, and they all assumed their positions behind the tanks. Guest gripped his AK-47 very firmly, as if hanging on for dear life. Nothing happened. One of the soldiers got up, dropped his M4, and looked in front of the tank where he was hiding behind. Huh? Where are the bacon soldiers? I don't see any. Immediately afterwards, several large groups of bacon soldiers emerged from their sandbag walls, clutching their assault rifles, rocket launchers, handguns, shotguns, and many other weapons. Ah, crap, Guest thought to himself. He looked upward and noticed a small object plummeting downwards to the tank. Shit! Incoming! Everyone surrounding the tank dived out of the way, and the object appeared to look like a grenade. It exploded on impact with the tank. He looked up from the sand while spitting out some that got in his mouth, and saw the burning debris behind them. He watched as Matt got up, and the older soldier who was wondering where the bacon soldiers were. Blah! Sand can be irritating, Guest muttered. Huh, thanks. You saved our asses, he said. Not a problem. Now we gotta move, said Guest. He caught his eye on a pile of unoccupied sandbags which were probably big enough to fit up to 3 people. Matt, Tofu, come with me, said Guest while pointing towards the pile that stood ahead of them. The two nodded and followed Guest while also trying to keep a low profile to the sandbag wall. He peered from the top of the pile and saw a group of 7 bacon soldiers running towards them. Okay, there's a group of 7 soldiers headed this way. Got anything good? Said Guest quickly. Matt pulled out a shotgun from his rucksack. Will this work? The Rewritten 870 won't do much good. Neither would the M1014, said Tofu, who has another shotgun in his hands. Is there anything with decent range? Guest detected an RPG-7 that lay on the ground. Bingo! He quickly reached out for the rocket launcher, then aimed. You guys might want to cover your ears. Matt and Tofu did so in response. Guest regained his focus, then pulled the trigger. Maggots! He shouted as the rocket flew out of the RPG towards the group of soldiers. Several indistinct shouts followed. Then a loud boom shook the ground. I think we're clear, gasped Matt. Yeah, said Guest, nodding. Come on, let's go. Tofu, maybe you should go and help the others. Matt and I can handle the front lines. Got it, replied Tofu, while grabbing his M4 and retreating towards the tanks. Guest and Matt advanced forward to another pile of sandbags. Matt sat down by the edge of the sandbags and took aim and emptied a whole round. I got 2 of them, said Matt as he began reloading his AK-47. Guest sat up, propped his assault rifle on top of the sandbags, and opened fire. Come on, focus! Remember all that training from the past 2 months, grunted Guest as he attempted to regain control of the recoil. But to no avail, he caught his eye on a group of bacon soldiers far away from them, but advancing forward in their direction. He dropped his gun and buried himself behind the sandbags. Ugh! I can't! There's too many! Guest panted. Stay strong, Guest. I've got your back, said Matt calmly after reloading an empty clip. I've got yours too, said Guest slowly, rising up and regaining control of his gun. He quickly pulled out his M1911 from the holster attached to his trousers, and while aiming at the charging bacon soldier, opened fire. Got one, he muttered as the soldier dropped to the ground. But he wasn't the only one that dropped. Guest looked to his right and saw Matt, who clutched his abdomen and the gaping hole that was revealed after removing his bloodied hand. No! Matt, no! Guest ran up to Matt and caught him in his arms. His eyes were shut, and he wasn't moving. Come on, Matt! Don't you die on me! He cried. He pressed both his palms onto Matt's chest. Several attempts to try resuscitate Matt were futile, and eventually, Guest gave up. There was nothing he could do now. His heart dropped, but at the same time, it was firing up. Guest felt grieved and angered. Fall back, men! The bacon soldiers outnumber us! He heard the general's voice. Guest clenched his fist, wiped the tears from his eyes, and stood up. No! I'm not giving up! The other soldiers immediately ceased fire and turned to Guest. You're bloody mad, aren't you? That's suicide right there! But you're the last guest in Roblox! That doesn't matter! We all came here to fight for our families and friends, to protect them, to restore peace to Roblox. And I'm not giving in to surrender until every last bacon soldier is dead, or till I am. What's he doing? Tofu questioned. He received no response, and watched as Guest looked ahead of him. He remembered the words that his parents said to him often, those same words that he passed on to his daughter. Be strong. Always be strong. He found a pen and a sheet of paper and wrote on it. After a few minutes of writing, he left the note in Matt's pocket and advanced towards the group of bacon soldiers that were also headed in his direction. Guest! No! All but one bacon soldier stopped advancing towards Guest as he headed in their direction. I'll get that motherfucker! The soldier said as he charged unarmed, unprepared, and unaware of what he's getting himself into. Once he was reasonably close, Guest bent onto his knees, jumped up and performed a Webster axe kick, slamming his right foot straight onto his chin, immediately knocking him out cold. Then, another soldier pulled out his handgun, took aim, and pulled the trigger. Guest narrowly dodged the bullet with a forward roll, then immediately knocking the soldier with another axe kick. He regained his stance. Come get them, you sons of bitches! Then, 3 soldiers from all directions started charging toward him. Get him, boys! One of them commanded. Again, once at a reasonable distance, Guest bent his knees, then jumped over one of the soldiers, then landing with a forward roll. The 3 soldiers all crashed into each other and started struggling on the sand. Ow! Hey, that's my arm! Stop pulling on my leg, you moron! Stop racing around because he's getting away! Not exactly the brightest, are they? Guest thought to himself, picking up a dropped AK-47. Well, it's not fully loaded, but I hope it works. Everyone, look out! He's got a gun! Exclaimed the soldier, quickly loading an M4 into his hands, and suddenly filled with bullet holes from his weapon. Yeah, no shit! Guest sneered, only to be shoved back onto the sand by another bacon. Guest quickly scooped up his weapon and aimed for the head. Ha! Not so powerful now, are ya? Bang! Bang. Bang. Ugh, morbid. Guest cringed as the blood from the bacon soldier's head dripped onto him. Thankfully, it didn't land onto my eyes, he thought. He rolled out of the way as the body dropped onto the ground, and those 3 soldiers loading their M4s and taking aim. Guest glanced at the body and sighed. I never thought I'd have to do this in my life. He picked up the dead body and held it in front of him as if it was some sort of shield. He's dead anyway! Just shoot! One of the soldiers called. They all opened fire. The bullets impacted on the soldier, yet not Guest. They can't handle the recoil on an AK, Guest muttered. So instead, he pulled out the M1911 from his holster, looked beyond the body, and then aimed at one of the soldiers. Bang! Another one bites the dust. Bang! And another one gone. As soon as the firing ceased, Guest dropped the body and lunged toward another oblivious soldier, and fired right at his neck. Bang! Another pile of sandbags stood a couple of meters in front of him, although a massive camp of soldiers sat nearby. Ah, shit! Then the corner of his left eye caught an unused grenade lying just a meter away, although it was almost completely buried by sand. Ahead of the Guests were a group of soldiers, firing in the direction of Roblox army camp. What do I do? He thought. I could probably use my last grenade to blow up the camp into smithereens, then pick up the unused grenade as I advanced towards the back lines. Yeah, that might just work, he thought. Guest took out his last grenade from his pocket and pulled on the pin. That was when he realized he didn't know where to aim. But with time running out and the ignited grenade still in hand, I gotta think fast, like a supercomputer. The camp seems like a good enough place, he said to himself. Heads up! He called as he threw the grenade over the sandbags. All firing stopped as the grenade landed near the tent. He covered his ears for the loud boom that was about to happen. Boom! After a short while, he looked ahead and saw a massive pile of burning debris lay where the grenade exploded, along with a couple of charred and in some cases gibbed bodies. The grenade surprisingly remained unharmed. Guest jumped over the sandbags and scooped up the almost buried grenade from the ground. I'm nearly at the front lines now. Time to teach their leader a lesson he won't. Bang. Then, a sudden sharp and searing pain was inflicted on Guest's left leg. The pain was so overwhelming that he fell onto the ground, face first. He looked up while spitting out the sand that got into his mouth when he fell, and a bacon soldier, with what looked like a leader's bandana, stood in front of him with a pistol in his hand. Quick as a flash, Guest pulled out his M1911 and pulled the trigger, but the clip was empty. Shit. The soldier laughed evilly. It is such a pleasure to finally meet you, the last Guest. That bandana, it looked just like the one the bacon soldier wore when he shot his parents. You killed my parents, he hissed while still writhing in pain, with the wounded leg growing progressively numb. You are a smart cookie, Guest, he laughed. Of course I did! He aimed his gun at Guest's head. There was no escape now. Got any last words before you wave goodbye to your head? He said while laughing evilly. Then, a plan. He still had that grenade that he picked up after using the last of his own. It is very risky, and it will cost me my own life. But I remembered that if I'm going to die, I wanted to make sure that I made a difference to the world. As a matter of fact, I do. He pulled it out, and while looking at a massive oil tank that stood behind the soldier, pulled the pin. I'll see you in hell, fucker! Guest threw the grenade and lay back down, giving in to his sealed fate. The soldier turned around and stood petrified. Before the grenade could even explode, he felt someone push him away and down into a nearby trench before passing out. Did you see that? Said a soldier to another one next to him, lowering down his binoculars. It's unbelievable! I gotta report this to the captain, immediately! The other soldier replied, getting up from behind the pile of sandbags in front of him and heading straight for the jeep. And another thing, the captain has ordered you to call the army back at the Roblox army camp. The jeep stopped outside of the captain's tent. The soldier came out and walked straight up to the captain before saluting. "Any news?" inquired the captain. "Sir, yes sir. There has been an explosion. The last guest took on most of the Bacon army alone and has blown up most of their camp," the soldier replied. Another soldier walks up to the captain and salutes as well. "Sir, we still have a soldier unaccounted for. He was last seen with guest," he reported. The captain scratches his chin. "Right, you must go back. I need a soldier to accompany me." "Can't," said one of the guest bullies mockingly. "We're injured, so we can't go." "Ugh, you might as well join the Bacon army if you're this heartless," said the female soldier angrily. "I don't even know why I even bothered accepting those two into the army," the captain spoke. "I will deal with those two later. Have you got anyone else in mind, Sergeant Major?" "I'll go with you, sir," she said boldly. "There, I see the body," said the girl as she pointed in the direction of a pile of sandbags with Matt's unconscious body lying beside it. The captain applied the brakes, quickly leading the jeep to a halt. They both dismounted from the vehicle and ran towards the body. The girl knelt down beside the body and examined. "Yes, he is unconscious, but his heart's still beating. There's a chance he could still make it." The captain nodded. "All right, take him back onto the jeep. There should be medical supplies in the back." "Yes, Captain," she obliged, before taking the body into her arms and heading for the jeep. "I'm going to have a quick look around to see if I could find the last—" She turned around and saw the captain with the sword impaled from the back. The sword was pulled out as the captain dropped onto the ground. What she saw appeared to be some sort of elite Bacon with a scar across his face. "Shit!" the girl spat before running faster to the jeep. Not too long afterwards, the Bacon started to give a chase. As soon as the girl reached the jeep, she placed Matt's body inside and turned around. The Bacon was advancing towards her, sword prepared for the kill. She found a rock beside her, picked it up, and immediately threw it at the Bacon's head. The Bacon fell back into the ground, but not long before rising back up onto his feet. But by then, the jeep had disappeared. The jeep stopped by the main tent, and she came out of the jeep with Matt's body in her arms. "Molly, what happened?" asked the soldier as he walked up to her. "Where's the captain?" She looked up from the body to the soldier. "Dead. A Bacon with some sort of stealthy appearance killed him as he was about to look for the last guest." "Oh no. Did you find him? What about this guy? Will he make it?" the soldier questioned. She nodded. "I'm afraid not. I had to get out of there before the Bacon could attack me. As for him, I'm sure he'll make it. We gotta get to the hospital, quickly." A few days later, Matt was suddenly awakened by the scent of antiseptic. He looked up, then to his right. "Hey, Matt, is it? Thank God I managed to find you. You could have died." "I'm Molly," she said, while smiling. Matt beamed back. I owe you a lot." "Thank you, Molly." "It was my pleasure," she said, turning to a photo of Guest, Daisy, and Charlotte. "Is that Guest's family?" "Yeah," Matt replied. "They were here not too long ago. They were devastated with Guest's disappearance." "I'm sorry, Matt," she said. Is there still a chance that he could still be alive?" asked Matt as his voice started to break down. Molly stood there in silence before speaking up. "A few soldiers saw him just before the explosion near the Bacon camp. I don't think there's a chance he could have survived that." "No, it can't be." There was a knocking on the door. "Mommy? Is that Daddy?" Charlotte asked from the dining room table. "I don't know, baby," Daisy replied. "I'll check." She headed for the door, and with the most optimistic feelings, opened it. A Roblox army soldier stood in the front door. "What happened?" Daisy asked as her smile turned to a concerned look. "Where's my husband?" The soldier looked up and revealed his hand from the back with a sorrowful look on his face. I'm afraid he didn't make it out. I'm sorry." Daisy placed her palms on her mouth, fell onto her knees, and broke down in tears. I remember what he said. If he was to die, he wanted to make sure that he made a difference to the world. I feel like we were going to win this war because of this man. For the first time in 30 years, people will be able to walk the streets in safety because of this man. His courage and bravery has taught us not to judge someone by their appearance. It's to really get to know what's inside that matters. I'm honored to say that my best friend is one of the greatest people that has ever lived in history. He was a guest. The last guest. The rain pitter-pattered down as Daisy, Charlotte, and Matt stood in front of Guest's memorial. "I miss my daddy so much," Charlotte said through tears. Matt felt something in his pocket and pulled it out. The letter to Guest's daughter. He handed it over to Charlotte with a bright smile. "Your daddy left this for you." She took it from Matt's hand and began to read, still with tears dropping with the rain. "To my beautiful and brave daughter, if you're reading this, things have not gone as planned. My greatest mistake was not watch you grow into a young woman. Look after your mother until it is her time to leave Roblox. I'll be waiting for you up there. Life may be challenging at times and you may feel like giving up. Remember just one thing. Be strong. Always be strong."